Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the H&H Sports Podcast. We are back live with it.
Hold on, let me get my setup right.
Jackson's not ready. He had a whole 5 minutes, but it's okay. Welcome back to the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We are back live with it. Yeah, we're doing the Big Ten standings this week. As scheduled. Last week I was very, very sick. Terminally ill. Could not make it to H&H, so we just decided to postpone. We had a week open in the off season, so we had some flexibility. I couldn't do the podcast last week because obviously I was sick, and like it would have been a nightmare for y'all to listen to me with the way my voice was. So, we're all good in the hood though. We are back. We are back and whatnot. All right. The Big Ten, I'm just going to warn you guys now, the Big Ten is stacked. The Big Ten might be the craziest conference. It is definitely the craziest conference that we've done yet. Because of all the turnover, all the, like, dude, oh my goodness, the Big Ten is going to be cray. Are you ready, Jackson? You're muted, buddy. I think you're muted. There you go. Now you're back.
Hold on. I'm getting my last few together. Hold on.
All right, well, while he's doing that, gives me a chance to tell you guys, please subscribe to the YouTube channel so you guys never miss when we're live. So you guys could turn on notifications so you guys catch us when we're live right at the beginning, right at the countdown, wherever you guys want to come in. Follow us on Spotify, follow us on Apple Podcasts, follow us wherever you guys get your podcasts. We're there. Yeah, we're going to be doing we still got the American and the SEC left to do for conference predictions, and then we're going to be doing awards predictions, and then we're going to be doing predicting the standings in the NFL. Towards the end, towards like the beginning of college football, towards like, you know, the end of the off season. We're going to be doing awards for that. All that type of stuff. And once the basketball season comes around, hopefully we can go back on with Ball Oasis and do some season overview with them come October.
No, please don't tell me this.
What happened?
No. Don't tell me this just did this. Okay. I thought my playoff predictor just crashed.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
All right, I'm riding with this. Hold on. All right, let's do it.
We're ready to actually podcast. Let's go, gang. All right. We're doing this by division since the Big Ten is the first conference that we've come up on that is separated by divisions. This whole new, no divisions. We're doing the two best teams in the conference thing. Has taken over the teams that we've already done. So we're doing divisions here since Big Ten still has divisions. This is the last year without USC and UCLA in the Big Ten, so that'll be fun. But yeah, we're gonna be doing our seventh place team in the West Division, then our seventh place team in the East Division, and so on and so forth throughout the standings predictions, just like we did with the NFL. Okay, we're gonna go west to east, left to right, makes it easier. The seventh place team in the West Division of the Big Ten Conference. I would assume it's the same for both of us.
Northwestern.
The epitome of greatness in college football is Northwestern. No, all jokes aside, Pat Fitzgerald was recently let go. I'm not really sure for what exactly.
Yeah, I don't even think it's. I think it's been discussed enough. It don't even need to be
like some type of allegation. Then they just let him go. Northwestern is a dumpster fire of a program at the moment. They recently hired, they promoted David Braun, their defensive coordinator, to acting head coach yesterday, I believe. But not much to talk about with Northwestern. They bring back 7 starters. I'm surprised it's that many. And they bring in, how many transfers do you think they brought in?
I have 3.
I have one official transfer.
Okay.
The 74th best transfer class. It's a little high.
That one transfer is Ben Bryant.
Ben Bryant, yeah, from Cincinnati. I was about to say, he chose the worst program to go to. Then again, maybe he came from Eastern Michigan before he went back to Cincinnati, so I'm not sure he had this pool of options. But they did bring in, surprisingly, not the last recruiter class in the Big Ten. Northwestern's a good school. It's they got a lot of smart people there. It's just recently they've been kind of
Really? Because I have them as dead last.
10th best in the Big Ten.
Oh, recruiting. You said recruiting?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was a transfer. My bad.
10th best in the Big Ten recruiting class, and they have the number 47th ranked class in the entire nation. Yeah, Northwestern's not looking great. With Pat Fitzgerald, they were pretty much the pillar of consistency in the Big Ten. Just 7 wins after 8 wins. Just a good team that you can count on them to be. But after a 1-11 season last year, no wins in the state of America. Or in our country, the state of America. I sound like a redneck. Anyway, Northwestern's making me talking about Northwestern's just making me stupid. I'm losing brain cells. Northwestern not gonna be good. There's your fun fact of the day.
I might be generous, but I got them at 2 wins.
I got them at 1. I have them beating Howard.
I had them winning one other game too. I forgot who it was. It wasn't a conference game.
It was just Howard is who they're beating the entire year.
Yeah, it wasn't a conference game.
Definitely not a Big Ten win in there.
Oh, I had them beating UTEP. I gave them that one, I think.
I didn't even give them that one. Prove me wrong, Northwestern. Number 7 for the East Division. I have Rutgers here.
I do too at 3-9.
I have them at 3-9 as well. 1-8 in conference. Rutgers, they're never good. They went 4-8 last year. Greg Schiano has been a decent head coach. He's like the previous years. He's brought us a surprisingly good recruiting classes because he is Greg Schiano. But I don't know, man. Rutgers is never just good. They bring back 12 guys. They bring in 5 transfers. The number 55 ranked. The 55th ranked. I'm losing brain cells, man, talking about these bad teams. The 55th ranked recruiting class in the entire country, or transfer class in the entire country. 11th in the Big Ten recruiting, and 57th best recruiting class in the entire country. Rutgers just isn't good. Simply, that's just all I have to say about him. I didn't really write too much down about him other than the bare minimum. Rutgers isn't very good.
Yeah. That's what. Yeah.
You might be surprised by this one. My 6th ranked team in the Big Ten West is Nebraska.
That's mine too.
Okay, they're so low down here because they have a bad conference record. I have them going 6-6.
I have them going 5. I have them going 5-7.
I have them making a bowl game. I only have 3 teams with a losing record in the Big Ten. I have Nebraska making a bowl game at 6-6. Just, they get by. First season in the Big Ten for Matt Rule. But they did bring back a lot of guys. They brought back 16 starters from last year. Who was the interim's name? Mickey Joseph, was that his name?
Yeah, it sounds right.
You remember when Luke Combs was on game day and he picked them to beat Oklahoma? And then they got absolutely smashed. Anyway, they bring back 16 guys. They bring in the 28th best transfer class. They bring in 11 transfers. Of those 11 transfers, they brought in Eric Gilbert from Georgia. And then they bring in Jeff Sims from Georgia Tech. Eric Gilbert is someone I'm looking forward to watch play. Because he's easily going to be the best weapon on that offense coming in. Because you remember Eric Gilbert? This guy's a freak. He was like we were like this guy was so hyped coming out of college. He committed to LSU, I believe, and then he transferred to Georgia, and now obviously he's transferred here to Nebraska. This guy's a freak. He reminds me of Kyle Pitts. He has that Kyle Pitts type of frame. He's really, really big for a tight end. He's really athletic. And he's going to be the best weapon on that offense. So if Jeff Sims and all the other guys can buy into what Matt Rule has going for him in the college game, which has proven to be successful, I think Nebraska could be a little better than 6-6. But I was a little hesitant to do anything more than 6-6. So I had them at least making a bowl game. But they did lose Dakotas Crawford to LA Tech. They lost O'Shawn Mathis and Trey Palmer to the draft. And then they did bring in the 5th best class in the Big Ten and a top 25 class in the nation at number 25. Nebraska's looking up, man. Just from this offseason, they're looking up. They're one of those teams that they instantly, when they bring in this new head coach, everybody wants to go there. Similar to how LSU was last year and how Colorado is this year. Not as, extreme examples, but Nebraska, couple years down the line, if Nebraska's patient, if they can give Scott Frost 4 years, they can give Matt Rule 3 or 4 years. That's Nebraska. I think will be pretty decent. They'll be mid this year, obviously, is what I have them, but they'll be pretty decent in the future. Number 6 in the East Division. This is where
you want me to go?
This is where I have Indiana.
Me too.
See, it'll get interesting up farther from here, but we have the same 4 teams here. Indiana isn't crazy. They did bring in for Indiana standards, they brought in a crazy recruiting class. They bring in 15 transfers. They had a top 20 transfer class in the entire country. Again, they only brought back 8 guys, so you kind of had to work the transfer portal here. They bring in guys like Andre Carter from Western Michigan, and they bring in Taven Jackson, quarterback from Tennessee. But they lost a big loss. And Deshaun, is it Deshaun or Deshaun?
I think it's Deshaun.
Deshaun McCullough. They lost him to Oklahoma, and then they lost A.J. Barner, tight end, to Michigan. They had the last recruiting class in the Big Ten and the 69th best recruiting class in the nation, which is not so nice. Yeah, Indiana, maybe they could do well with the amount of transfers they brought in. Maybe they can surprise us like they did in 2020.
Did you say what you had them at 5-7? What'd you have them at?
2-10.
Damn.
But I have them tied with Rutgers at a 1-8 record.
I had them 2-7 in conference. I had them some out of conference wins though.
Yeah, I have Indiana pretty bad. 2-10. Just all the turnover there, and usually bad.
I probably
teams,
was generous because I was in a hurry.
Usually teams who are historically bad that deal with a lot of turnover don't do so great. So
I was more focused on my conference games than my out of conference games too, though.
I don't know. I like the 1-8 conference record, but maybe the 2-10 overall record isn't so is a little harsh. But where I have them is I'm comfortable with where I have them.
Yeah.
Okay. 5th place in the Big Ten West. Yes, Big Ten West. Who do you have?
This might be where right here I have Minnesota.
Okay. This is where I have. Or no, go ahead.
I gotta find my notes. Where are my Minnesota notes? Here they are. Obviously they lose Tanner Morgan, John Michael Smith to the NFL. They bring back 10 starters and the 42nd best transfer class in the country. PJ Fleck. I mean, they're going to be decent, middle of the pack. I think, about like they always are in the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm. This is where I have
That's
Illinois.
about.
This is where I have Illinois. Where is Illinois? Oh, they're all the way at the top. Okay. Yeah, Illinois. They're coming off a really good season last year. They go 8-5 last year. They bring back 13 guys. Illinois surprised a lot of people last year, but the guys that helped them be that good, they lost a lot of them. They lost Witherspoon. He goes top 5 in the draft. They've lost Tavius Martin. They lost Sidney Brown, and they lost Chase Brown, who was their best back. They lost a lot of guys, a lot of key players in the offseason. I still think they'll be decent because they still they did lose their defensive coordinator to Purdue. He's their head coach now. But I still think they'll be pretty decent. They've set up expectations there. They bring back 13 guys. They bring in only 5 transfers, the 64th best transfer class. They bring in the 7th best class in the Big Ten, top half, and then they bring in the 38th best recruiting class in the entire country, which isn't as bad as it seems. But for a Big Ten team, it's not great either. The only key guy I think that they brought in was Luke Altmaier from Ole Miss, quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So Illinois, I think they'll be decent. They'll be 4-5 in conference, 7-5 overall. Win all their non-conference games. I think Illinois will be pretty decent.
Where we at? 5 in the East.
Yep.
You going to go? Me to go?
You go ahead.
My 5 in the East is Michigan State.
I have Michigan State here too.
Yeah. Mel Tucker has been dealt a hand, let me just say. Their starting quarterback transferred after the spring. They lost Keon Coleman, who was their number 1 receiver. They do bring back 14 starters, but kind of like what you've always said, you bring back 14 starters from a 5-7 team. Yeah, they're going to be better, but at the same time, you lose kind of what made you 5-7. So
yeah, they lost a lot. They lost a lot of key guys on offense, which was the main, which has been the main point of their team since Mel Tucker has gotten there. Obviously, you said they lose Keon Coleman to Florida State. They lose Jaden Reed to the draft, and then they lose Peyton Thorne right after spring training to Auburn. So he did do a decent job of replacing those guys. They bring in 14 transfers. I mean, it was only the 45th best transfer class in the entire country, but it's a lot of bodies to bring back on the team. And then they have the 4th best class in the Big Ten and the 24th best class in the entire country. So Mel is good at bringing guys in. It's just a matter of can he, turn that into something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I could definitely see them making a bowl game. I will say that.
I have them at 6-6, so I think they'll squeak into a bowl game. I just only have them at 4-5 in conference. It's just when you lose your starting quarterback, like right after spring training, it's like if I'm Mel Tucker, I'm like, dude, what the heck?
Yeah,
like I spent all spring coaching you, expecting you to play in the fall, and then you're like, nah, I'm gone. Like that's I kind of feel bad for Mel in that one, but he got 9 years, 90, so
yeah,
I kind of don't feel bad for him. Like Kenneth, he owes Kenneth Walker half of that contract for the rest of his life. Like Kenneth Walker got that man paid.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker definitely got him paid.
All right. 4th best or number 4 in the West.
My number 4 in the West is Purdue.
Dude, we have the same stuff. This is where I have Purdue as well. This is weird. I have them at 5-7, but I have them going 4-5 in conference, and they have the tiebreaker over 7-5 Illinois for me.
I have them at 7-5.
I have Purdue struggling a little bit this year.
Yeah, they bring in Hudson Card to play quarterback
Mm-hmm.
from Texas.
New head coach and Ryan Walters, like I mentioned earlier, from Illinois.
New head coach from Illinois, like you said.
And Illinois had a top 5 defense
class.
last year overall.
Do
So
what?
said Illinois had a top 5 defense last year.
Yeah. I think Purdue's going to be solid. I think they're just going to be. They're going to have not a layover year. What's it? I'm trying to think of what
development year. I think.
Yeah.
What? I'm not saying Ryan Walters, like he was the defensive guy for Illinois, so I'm not saying this will be the case, but I think Purdue's going to turn into what Illinois was last year, which is a smash mouth, ground and pound team and play good defense. Because that's really all Illinois was last year. They ran the ball 350 times, and then they played, top 5 defense. So Purdue has been used to, just airing the ball out, throwing the ball 50 times a game with Aiden O'Connell. He's gone. He's drafted. And then you bring in a defensive guy whose team that he came from is used to running the ball a lot. I think this Purdue team is going to be the complete opposite of it was in years past. It turned into what Illinois was last year. Maybe not. Maybe Ryan Walters will keep the throwing, the throwing a lot going since Hudson Card is here. But maybe I may have been a little harsh on Purdue, but I took that into consideration.
Yeah.
They didn't do great with bringing guys in, though. I'll say that.
Yeah, they bring in the 34th best transfer class and the 67th best recruiting class. So.
Yeah, and 13th in the Big Ten is not great. But losing a really decent head coach in Jeff Brom to Louisville didn't really help. So I think Purdue will struggle a little bit.
Yeah, I agree.
4th.
Yeah, we kind of do the same stuff. It's kind of whack.
You have Maryland here, right?
What's the record?
8-4.
God dang it!
Guys, we're original. We swear. We did this all on our own. We didn't cheat.
We copied and pasted.
Yeah. Let's just let's copy and paste our records and then act surprised when we're all the same. Yeah, I knew it was Maryland here because there's no way they were going to be above Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State.
No
way.
Yeah.
Okay, Maryland 8-4, a little better than the 5-7 fourth place team that I had with Purdue. Maryland is they're always this just weird, like sneaky decent transfer and recruiting destination. For some, I never understood why. But they had a lot of turnover this year. They only bring back 9 guys, one of them being Tua's brother. I always call him Tua's brother because I never know how to say his first name.
I think it's Tulia.
Tulia.
I think. Tawalia. I don't know how to say his name either. I don't know why you're trying.
They bring in 9 transfers, but it was the 24th best transfer class in the country. They bring in the 6th best.
I think it's Tulia.
6th best class in the Big Ten and 36th best class in the entire country. I always said Tualia because that's how it's spelled. But they did.
I don't think that's it.
Whatever. They did lose a lot of big hitters in the draft. They lost Deontay Banks, Jalen Duncan, Rakeem Jarrett, and Deontay Demas to the draft. 3 big contributors on offense and their best player on defense at Deontay Banks. But they did bring Caden Prather, receiver from West Virginia. They brought in Jaquan Shepard, who I think would be sneaky good for them from Cincinnati. I have them going 8-4, just, pretty much the same as they did last year, win 8 games. Mike Loxley has been, pretty consistent since he's been at Maryland. So I just have them going 8-4.
Yeah, we're pretty on par with each other, aren't we?
Yeah.
We aren't here, though.
3rd here in the West.
I have Illinois at 7-5.
Okay. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think there will be. No, I mean, hold on. Let me get my notes. Like you said, there's a lot of turnover. They lost a lot. A lot. They got to recruit Malik Elzy, I think is how you say his name. That is supposed to be. They said watch out for him this year. So, and then they bring in. I got them at 7 transfers. Is that what you got?
7 total.
Yeah.
I have them at 5. I think what I look at is like they only count it if they're like officially like instead of just verbal. You know.
Okay. Did I just say they're bringing a lot of guys and then say they don't bring in a lot of guys at the same time?
Who cares?
They had a pretty good recruiting class, 42nd nationally. But yeah, they lost a lot. But I think Altmaier can take that step, and they bring back 13 starters. So
Illinois, pretty mid. This is where I have Wisconsin.
This is a story of the Big Ten East and West, though. The West is always mid.
Yeah. And then the East is just all the good teams. Yeah, that's been in recent history. That's just what it's been. This is where I have like once they take away divisions, nobody from the West is going to make the conference championship ever again. It's just all going to be.
I wouldn't say nobody.
Like maybe Iowa and Wisconsin, but that's it.
Yeah, that's better.
This is where I have Wisconsin at 8-4.
No more Michigan, Purdue.
Yeah. Wisconsin is probably outside of Nebraska is the story of the Big Ten this offseason. Bringing in Luke Fickell from Cincinnati. Luke Fickell, obviously, a couple years ago, took Cincinnati to the college football playoff, the first Group of 5 team to ever make the playoff. Surprisingly, they bring back 17 starters from the previous year. Usually, when a new coach comes in, you don't bring a lot of guys back. But Luke Fickell's a really good head coach. Apparently, like obviously, a lot of the guys already on Wisconsin trust this guy. They bring in 14 transfers, the 27th best transfer class in the entire country, 12th best class. He didn't do a lot of recruiting. He didn't do much.
He didn't have to.
On key additions, I just wrote down Cincinnati. He just brought Cincinnati here. Yeah, but they did lose a couple of big hitters in the transfer portal on the draft. They lost Joe Tippmann and Keanu Benton to the draft. They lost Graham Mertz to Florida. That wasn't really a big loss, but they bring in Tanner Mordecai from SMU. I'm surprised he's still in college. And then they brought in C.J. Williams from USC, and then Cincinnati. So, considering it's Luke Fickell and he brings in a decent quarterback with him, who he's coached against, which is it's pretty cool to think about. He's coached against this guy being at Cincinnati, and then he brings him in to coach him. I think it'll work out better than most people think. So I think Tanner Mordecai will thrive at Wisconsin.
Yeah, I do too.
And I think Wisconsin's going to be a respectable 8-4. And Wisconsin's one of those teams. I think they have they're like one of the longest tenure, like the longest winning record streak in the country. I think it's like a lot of seasons in a row with a winning record. So
a lot of seasons in a row.
I don't remember the exact number. I'm not going to just spit out a number, but it's a lot of seasons in a row with a winning record. That's just where I'm going to leave it. Like this Big Ten has made me lose brain cells, man. Yeah.
That's funny though.
Third in the East. Who do you have here?
I have Penn State here.
Okay.
You do too, don't you?
This is where I have Michigan.
Wow.
I have Michigan here. This is where it's going to get spicy from here on out. Let me tell you, it's going to get spicy.
Explain, please explain.
Hold on. Let me go. I'm not going to tell you who they're losing to.
This means you have them at what, 3 losses?
2.
Okay.
Only 2. Relax. You have them going 7-5? No. I'll tell you who they lose to because I have them losing to Penn State and Ohio State. I have them going 9-0, and then they lose 2 of 3 to end the year. Yeah. Okay. You explain Penn State, and then I'll get into my Michigan thing.
Hold on, I gotta get to my notes. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just think Michigan and Ohio State are better.
That's a fair point. Fair point.
I mean, there's not really much to.
Okay, I'll just talk about Michigan while I have him here. I have Michigan, obviously 2 straight playoff appearances for them. Haven't won a game in the playoff, but 2 straight appearances. They bring back 13 guys last year, including Blake Corum. They bring in 7 transfers, a big hit of transfers. They have the 12th ranked transfer class in the entire country, including Ernest Hausman and Ladarius Henderson from Nebraska and ASU, respectively. But they did lose some big guys too. They lost Modsey Smith, Luke Schoonmaker, Jake Moody, the best kicker in the country, and they lost Ronnie Bell, receiver, to the draft. But they did do a decent amount of recruiting. It's not as good as you'd think someone like Penn State would do, the 3rd best class in the conference and then 17th in the entire country. Yeah, I mean, it's not like I have them getting upset by like Purdue or something, but I just have them at 10-2, losing to Penn State and Ohio State, man. I don't think Ohio State is losing to Michigan 3 years in a row. That's just my thinking. I don't think Ohio State is losing to Michigan 3 years in a row.
Yeah. I hear you.
And McCarthy was a little shakier than people thought he was. His completion percentage and his touchdown to interception ratio kind of fools people. And people hear that and be like, "That's what makes a quarterback good." But it's like his decision making was.
I know. Okay.
I'm just saying, like, McCarthy is a good quarterback. He'll probably I could see him putting himself in the Heisman conversation this year. But when you watch his tape, it's like it's a good decision. It's a good decision making sometimes where it's like you watch him throw the ball and be like, "Dude, what are you doing?" It reminded me of Riley Ferguson when he was at Memphis. Be like, "Dude, what are you doing?" Like you have this good completion percentage, you have this good touchdown to interception ratio, but there are these times where it's like, dude, why? And then they're like, the more I watch it, the more that type of thing comes up, and especially when you watch the TCU game, good lord, 2 pick sixes in a playoff game, redonkulous. I think JJ McCarthy, he is a junior now, so I think he'll take strides like he did last year, but just got to see more. You know, he greatly improved last year. The reason why a big reason why is they were as good as they were, but he kind of scares me a little, man. Wow, Bright.
This whole time you rushed me into the pod and I didn't even have my lights on. Look.
Well, you had 5 minutes on the counter.
I was wondering why it looked so dark. I could see that. I mean, now that you say that, I could see that because that game is at Penn State, right?
It's in Happy Valley.
I could definitely see that, but
yeah, it's just one of the things. You think the other teams are better, and that's where we like.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just, not about that. Sometimes it's not about that. But I think, obviously, this isn't me saying Michigan is terrible. I have them going 10-2 in the Big Ten. They're obviously not terrible. Just have two teams better than them. All right. Number 2 in the West. Is this where you have Wisconsin?
I have Iowa here.
Oh, okay. You have Wisconsin going to the conference championship year 1 under Luke Fickell. Okay.
I have Iowa here.
I'll let you talk about Iowa.
Because I mean, I know how much you love Iowa, but
yeah, they're a joy to watch, man. They're just a joy to watch.
They lose a lot. They do. But I do think they're still one of the better teams in the West.
They always will be.
I mean,
as long as Kirk Ferentz is there, I think they'll always be one of the better teams in that division.
They bring. Yeah, I mean they're always going to have a solid team in the West. I think I have them at 8-5 or 8-4. I mean, yeah, I have them at 8-4. That's just where I have them. I don't know. Do you want to go ahead and do this top one, and then we'll go to the other half?
Here, I'll talk about. This is where I have Minnesota. I'll talk about Minnesota. Going 7-5. West is weird for me as far as the records go. Like Wisconsin as 8-4 below them, but Minnesota has the tiebreaker with the 5-4 conference record, so they're above them. Like the head-to-head tiebreaker. So they're second in the division. At 7-5. But yeah, Minnesota with PJ Fleck, they've always been solid. They had a 9-4 record last year. They had I think a top 10 defense in the country last year too. Bring back 10 guys. They only bring in 6 transfers. But they did bring a big transfer in Elijah Spencer from Charlotte. They brought in Sean Tyler from Western Michigan, and they did lose their best player in John Michael Schmitz from the draft, and Tanner Morgan's gone as well. So a lot of turnover for this team, but with PJ Fleck, I think this team will be solid. Okay, this is where you have Wisconsin.
This is where I have Wisconsin.
And obviously this is where I have Iowa. Surprisingly, oh my gosh, Tanner has Iowa good.
What if I told you I think Wisconsin can win 10 games this year?
I don't hate it. The only reason I have them winning 8 is because of the Big Ten, and Luke Fickell is going to have to get used to playing Big Ten competition. But I actually don't hate that. I don't. Yeah.
This team is going to thrive off of Braylon Allen.
Oh yeah, Braylon Allen is like, I'm not going to say the next Jonathan Taylor, but he'll rack up yards like Jonathan Taylor did.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, they bring back 17 starters.
Yeah, I probably could have made them better. Yeah,
from a decent football team with a better coach.
Yeah.
They lost some guys. They bring in, like you said, I think Tanner Mordecai is going to be a really good piece. I'm not saying he's going to blow people away.
He could blow people away.
He could.
He's not going to have to. He's been in college for forever.
He's not going to have to with Braylon Allen in the backfield either.
Do what?
He's not going to have to with Braylon Allen in the backfield either.
Yeah, but that probably lifts some weight off his shoulders and allows him to do what he does.
It definitely does.
Because he's known to just sling the ball recently with SMU, and he played with Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley recruited him to Oklahoma. So he's been around the block with some heavy pass offenses, and Luke Fickell more of a balanced offense type of coach, but I think the combination of Mordecai and Braylon Allen is going to be deadly. I probably could have had Wisconsin come out the West.
I think Luke Fickell's going to have some fun with Braylon Allen.
Yeah, Braylon Allen's going to have a season this year. Barring injury, I think Braylon Allen's going to be like.
I have Wisconsin at 10-2.
Okay, I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. I have Iowa at 10-2. And
I don't hate that either.
You know, I put aside my Iowa bias or lack of bias for this. Iowa's good. Like I said, as long as Kirk Ferentz is there, Iowa's always just going to be good in the West.
They had it did not feel like they won 8 games last year.
I know, dude. Do you remember that game that they won?
They won 9-8.
Nine something. With like 2 safeties or something. They didn't score an offensive fit. No, they won like.
I remember your famous line.
What?
Watching Iowa football pisses me off.
It does. Watching Iowa play football upsets me. It does. Iowa football pisses me off. No, but they. I don't know, man. Maybe it won't change. Maybe I'm kind of
to the point that they're going to be 10-2 this year.
Maybe Cade McNamara, the savior for Iowa football.
I think I had Wisconsin losing to. I only had them losing one conference game. I think it was. It had to have been Ohio State. What wouldn't it be? They play Ohio State.
I think so. I don't remember. Hold on.
It was somebody out of the East.
Yeah, they play at Ohio State.
It's at Ohio State too, and
it's at Wisconsin actually.
I don't know. They might. I don't know. I had them losing that game. Then that's the game I had them losing.
Yeah, I have Iowa pretty good. They were like 10-2 a couple years ago. In 2021. And I have them losing to Penn State and Illinois. Okay, Tanner. Yeah, I just think Iowa's going to be good. Where do I have their notes at here?
Iowa's that kind of team that's going to upset somebody and lose a game they're not supposed to lose.
It's Iowa tradition, and they're always going to have this one game that they score single-digit points that they're going to win, and people will be like, "How did Iowa win this freaking football game?" Dude, thinking about it makes me upset. Okay, Iowa, coming off an 8-5 season last year, returning 13 guys. They bring in 8 transfers, 39th best class. 8th best class in the Big Ten, number 40 in the country. They lose Lucas Van Ness. They lose Jack Campbell. They lose Sam Laporta. They lose Riley Moss. They lose big hitters on defense. They made that defense so great that allowed them to only score single-digit points. Good gracious. Them in Miami just make my blood boil. Like, Miami upsets me. Iowa upsets me. They bring in Eric All and Cade McNamara from Michigan. Eric All's a tight end. I think
wrong about Wisconsin. They might finish last in the West, but I'm high on Wisconsin.
Yeah. All right, we're done with the West here. Let's move on. Who I am assuming.
Let's be honest. This is what everybody cares about.
Yeah. Who do you have at 2 in the East?
At 2, I have Michigan.
Okay. It's not surprising.
At 11-1.
It's not surprising.
The one loss being Ohio State.
Yep.
And Ohio State at 1, I have Ohio State at 11-1. Their one loss coming on the road at Notre Dame.
Well, you have Notre Dame really good this year. Pulling off all the upsets, man. I think
who else do I have them beaten?
That's me. I had Notre Dame beating Clemson.
Yeah, you had Notre Dame. I had Clemson going undefeated.
Yeah. All right. I'm just gonna say it. This is where I have Ohio State.
At 2? Wow.
This is the year. I'm calling it. This is the year that Penn State finally beats Ohio State again. It's been since 2016 that Penn State, and ever since then, since 2016, Penn State has lost to Ohio State. This is the year. I may be a little delusional here, but I have Penn State going 12-0. I have Penn State going 12-0 in the Big Ten, and they're obviously like if you go 12-0 in the Big Ten.
I gotta know what motivated this.
Penn State's good. They went in 11 games. They won 11 games last year. People are going to forget that. They won 11 games last year, and they pretty much killed Utah in the Rose Bowl. And Utah's great. Penn State, they returned 14 guys from an 11-win team. Drew Aller, who was I think he was the number 1 quarterback in his class. They only bring in 5 transfers. They bring in a really good transfer, Dante Cephas from Kent State. They did lose Joey Porter Jr., Brennan Strange, and Sean Clifford, who's 75 years old, to the draft. But they brought in the number 2 class in the entire Big Ten and the number 13 class in the entire country. I think this is just the year that Penn State gets it done, man. Penn State has always floated around 9, 10, 11 wins every year. Since 2016, since they beat Ohio State. And I think this is the year they get it done. They would have to beat Ohio State on the road, which is never easy. But they have Michigan at home. They have Iowa at home. And they play Michigan State on the road. I think that the Michigan State on the road game could be a trap game for them. But I could be delusional here. But this is my big whoa prediction, finally. This is my Florida being good prediction. This is that Penn State is going to be this year's Florida for me. It's going to have to be because I have them going 12-0. So
yeah, that's going to have to be it.
Yeah. Penn State, I have them at 12-0. And as a result, I have Ohio State being 11-1 because Penn State beat them. Yeah, I just think this is the year that Penn State gets it done.
I don't hate it.
I went from you going, please explain yourself, to I don't hate it. See, it's good ground that I made up there. Yeah, I have Iowa making the conference championship.
I don't hate it.
I have Iowa going to the conference championship, and I have Penn State going 12-0. My conference championship is Iowa, Penn State, and yours is Wisconsin, Ohio State, which is more traditional. Yeah, I got some shaky things, some things shaking up, man. I don't like this. Isn't like just some crazy, like it is a crazy prediction because it's not Ohio State or Michigan winning the conference, but Penn State going 12-0 in my head doesn't seem too crazy, you know?
No, I don't think it does either.
It's
really.
just the one big game.
But
the one big they play Ohio State and Michigan this year, but I'm confident with them beating Michigan at home. It's just the Ohio State on the road, man. I just think this is the year that they finally get it done. But maybe you look at like Drew Aller. This is his first full year starting. You say like maybe he's not ready to beat Ohio State on the road yet. But Penn State is a really, really good football team. You see both of their freshman running backs from last season murdered on the ground. And then this year they have, bring a ton of momentum from how they did last year. That offense for Penn State is going to be electric. Like you look at I know it was against Auburn, but you look at the game they played against Auburn. It was an SEC defense, even if it is Auburn. Both of those running backs, I think, had 100+ yards. Both of them. They shredded an SEC defense. And they went 11-2 last year. So I think Penn State bringing that momentum from last year, they're going to go 12-0 this year. That's my you put Penn State in my playoff predictions in a couple of weeks.
Can't wait for those.
Yeah, you obviously have. Or who do you have? I'm going to say I have Penn State winning the Big Ten. Who do you have? You have Ohio State winning the Big Ten?
I guess I'm going to say yes.
Boo.
Yeah.
I got Rutgers. That's what people like. Sometimes there's some people expect that. Be like, oh, you're so boring. You have Ohio State. Like, who do you want me to say?
You want me to come on here and tell you I got Rutgers to win the...
Yeah, I want you to change the script, and I want you to make yourself look stupid. We need a TikTok.
I want Iguodala.
I want Rutgers coming out the East.
Yeah, I can't do it.
Yeah, man, it's a interesting episode here. I have Penn State going undefeated, and it's not as crazy as mine, but Jackson has Wisconsin coming out the East, which I think it's extremely possible, more possible than Penn State going 12-0. But I still have Penn State going undefeated.
There's a world where Penn State could go 11-1 and win the West.
Oh yeah.
I mean the East, my bad, not the West.
They'll win both the East and the West. They'll win on both.
I misspoke.
They'll win the Big 12 while they're at it.
That's not far fetched. I mean,
yeah, that's the Big 10 predictions, man. Who do we have next week? I think we want to do the American next week?
I don't know. Let me look at it. Let me see who we got.
I don't think anybody wants to see
Is
us
that all we
predict
got?
the American. No, we have the SEC to do as well.
Since we missed a week, we're going to cut 1 week.
We could do that. Okay, we have the SEC. I mean, if we want to, we can skip the American. It's just I don't know if people want to see that. And then we have awards / New Year's 6 predictions. We can do hot takes 1 week, and then the NFC standings predictions, the AFC standings predictions, and then we can do NFL awards predictions. That's our schedule so far. We may or may not do the American next week. We could just skip right to the SEC, which would be way more interesting. Spoiler: I have Florida winning the SEC. And then after, if we let's just not do the American. One of us is going to have Memphis winning, at least, maybe both. Let's just not do the American. It's not interesting. Let's just do all the Power 5 teams. And then we go right to the awards / New Year's 6 bowl game predictions. Also playoffs. And then we could do hot takes last. Just get all the standings predictions out of the way.
And do a hot takes. Do a both.
Yeah, like right before college football starts. That could be something we could do. Yeah, I think we could do that. Just get the standings and awards for NFL out of the way, then we'll do hot takes. But yeah, that's just how the schedule for H&H is looking. JD's and Littleman. But I want to thank you guys for tuning in to the live. We appreciate you guys watching. Come back next week. We will do scratch the American. We're doing the SEC next week, which is everybody's waiting for Big Mama Jamma Conference in the SEC. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, subscribe to the YouTube channel, turn on post notifications so you guys never miss a live or an episode. Follow us on Spotify, follow us on Apple Podcasts, follow us on every podcast platform. We're there, we promise. And we will see you guys back next week for the SEC standings predictions. See you guys then.
Peace out.